If you are going through the day and you are fixated on things like fun or something like love is a little more heavy duty than fun, but you can accomplish it, some of you, quickly anyway. Appreciation is something that's quite easy to accomplish as you fixate on it. As you find these words, these emotions, and you set out with a determination to stir the feeling of them within you, what you're actually doing is using something that's easy to come by as your focal point in order to engender a vibration that then becomes, for now at least, a dominant part of your grid. So there's a grid about this and a grid about that and a grid about this, a grid regarding this person, a grid regarding this person. So we want you to picture this core grid within you. And we want you to think about other pieces that come in that go da-da-da-da-da-da, that just take you right in alignment, right to who you are. So that your point of attraction is so powerful that, as we said, heaven and earth are moved. Things and people around you are inspired to play with you in the vibrational patterning that you have established. But if you are doing sloppy grid work so that you're not deliberately causing a vibration that lines you up with your core, then what happens is whatever piled on last becomes the dominant one. Whatever piled upon last is the vibrational point of traction. Haven't you noticed it? Can you focus on anything that it doesn't fill in? Can you give your attention to anything wanted or unwanted that it doesn't begin to fill in right away with things that are a vibrational match to it? You can't. We know you can't because we know the power of law of attraction. But where your power is, you cannot control law of attraction's response to your vibration, because it's consistent and it's fair and it's vivid, it's crystal clear, and it's always accurate every single time. You can't control law of attraction. You can't say, time out. You can't say, I want to do over. Well, you can say, I want to do over, because you can set a different grid into motion every 17 seconds. But you can't say, I take that back. All you can do is no longer spew it again. Some years ago, we were offering an analogy that it's like you're moving through time and you're spewing this red, inky, misty stuff out there. And it's just out there, and it's sort of fogging up the room. Doesn't smell that good either. And it's making it more difficult for you to see. It's muting your experience. And if you would just stop doing that thing you're doing, that mist would dissipate. It would clear out in a little bit. Much faster than you realize. But what happens is, because most people are reacting to the environment around them, you've had a grid going that filled in with a manifestation. Now you've got your attention on the manifestation, so you're shoring up that grid, which is filling in with another manifestation. Now your attention's upon that manifestation, so you're shoring up that grid. So today, as we are talking about the art of allowing, what we're really talking about is making a concentrated, more determined, more conscious effort. And we don't really like the word effort, but decision, decide, focus. Sometimes it takes a little effort to distract yourself from the reality of the grid that is filled in while you get hold of the vibrational core of the well-being that is dominant. And then it is our promise to you that that core dominant grid of well-being and fun and clarity and joy and vitality will fill in with things that match it. And it will happen as soon as today. So, we are eager to talk with you about anything that matters to you. There is nothing off limits. We're going to be mindful of your grid, and we'll point it out to you. We won't be too willing to go too far into conversation that might promote a grid that we know will fill in. It's a disservice that we do to you, or that you do to anyone, if we encourage a maintenance of an unwanted grid. Really. It's much better if we focus upon what is wanted and get to the core of it vibrationally. But it makes for a rather boring meeting. Just like it makes for a rather boring moment as Esther is just writing fun. Abraham really knows what fun is. Yes, sir. That's really a lot of fun. What do you want to talk about? You're ready. Well, let us just say in advance, this is going to be really fun. Start right here.
You said last time we talked, I have to find the feeling place in order to get what I want. And I followed through, like, what if it's $1 billion that I want, or love that I never had? Do I have to find that specific vibration? What if it's something I've never had?
You see what happens? That's why we want you to get more general. Why would you want $1 billion?
Because I would feel good in the having of it. I figured I'd just cut right into what you're about to say. That's what you're going to say.
So what does that feel like? What does that mean? How would you feel to have unlimited resources?
Really good.
Define it in more emotional terms.
Freedom.
Free. So
Right.
stay there with the feeling of freedom. What do you mean free? What does free feel like?
To do whatever I want, whenever.
We've elicited from you some specifics that introduce resistance, because freedom from stuff I don't want to do. So go back to the feeling of freedom and describe it in emotional terms that feel only positive.
Ability. More able to do what I want.
We're not feeling it.
Okay. Good. Really good. I don't, just good because I have money.
It's hard to feel something that you haven't felt before, isn't it?
Exactly.
It's not easy to feel something that you haven't felt before. Can you feel the opposite of that? Can you feel what
Not having money feels like. Right?
What does that feel like? Focus there just for a moment.
All right, not good and incapable.
Find the feeling of it. In other words, it's oppressive. It's discouraging, just for a moment.
Yeah.
It feels like a sort of bondage or lack of freedom. Feel it for just a moment.
It's like my pockets are empty.
Now try to find the relief from that. The relief from that might be the place to reach for first.
Okay. Ease, less worry.
Don't move on so fast. Now, ease. So focus on the feeling of ease.
Okay.
We understand your dilemma, all of you. How can I feel about something that I haven't experienced before? Because I have oriented myself, Abraham, to respond to what is. So if I had a lot of money, I would be able to describe to you more clearly how it feels. But can't you imagine? Haven't you watched enough movies? Haven't you imagined in your own mind? Haven't you had enough dreams? Can't you sort of kind of feel what it would feel like if you didn't have money pressure, or if you had opportunity to pretty much do what you want? Mm-hmm. What was the last thing that you saw that really rang your bells, that you would have liked to have purchased if you had been in the financial situation? What was the last thing you saw that made you feel excitement when you saw it?
Really nice BMW.
All right, so focus upon that just for a moment.
Okay.
Focus upon that for a moment and feel what it feels like to open the door of your own. Not the one at the dealership, to open the door of your own. It's in your parking place. Open the door of your own. Open the door of your own. Open the door, knowing that it's yours, and slip into it and smell it. And feel it just a little bit. Feel it. Feel it. Now, why does it feel good? What feels good about it?
The leather seats.
What else feels good about it? I did so good. I've got this. I attracted this to me. This represents my abundance. I so love the reflection of my abundance. It feels really good. Does it feel secure?
Yes.
Did it feel easy?
To get the feeling?
It should have felt easy. It felt easy to just slip right into that. Did it feel easy to slip into that?
Yes.
Was easy to slip into that?
Yes.
How does a car like that handle on the road?
Easy.
And when you find a road that has a lot of good turns, tight turns, that car just sits right down on the road. You can hardly go fast enough to make it want to leave the road. It has such good suspension. It is so well engineered. It makes me feel thrilled that someone can build a machine with this kind of attention to detail. Every time I get in it, it starts right up. Every time I get in it, it's ready to go. Every time I get in it, I feel good when I go. I love the feeling of my BMW. I love the feeling of it. some say, Abraham, how silly is that? It's not silly to engender an emotion about something. So in this case, hard to find the feeling until you focus on it a little more specifically. We ask you a very specific question which led you in a very specific direction. We said, what was the last thing that when you thought about, you felt excitement about it? Because there are a lot of things when you think about money that it doesn't bring a feeling of excitement. It brings a feeling of responsibility or a feeling of bondage or a feeling of absence of what you want. But that was something that it was pure. When you thought about it, you felt just a little bit of well-being about it. You felt enough excitement about it that we could pick up on the vibration and fill in your grid with some details that now have left you in a different vibrational point of attraction. That's the work. That's the work. And then you don't go on and on and on and on and on and on until you feel like a crazy person. You leave the subject, but you come back to it frequently enough that you give yourself the feeling of abundance. Now, we like that for you. Have you read the wallet process that is in the Ask book? Have you read that process?
Oh, yeah.
This was far better. You know what the wallet process is?
Have
Find $100 somehow, put it in your pocket, and notice how many things you could buy with $100 that day. Well, this was way more fun. A BMW is way more fun than spending $100. And since you're doing it in your imagination anyway, why not choose the things that really feel good to you and fantasize around them until you... Do you know that the universe does not know if the vibration that you're offering is because you're facing reality or because you're conjuring reality?
I do the exact same thing like that with money. Money has appeared. I do the exact same thing with relationships. Nothing's happened. So I think I've been doing it for a while now.
When we know the basic law, and we know that when you find the vibration that the grid will fill in. The only explanation that we have for that is that you might be doing it and then you're noticing the absence, and then you might be doing it and you're noticing the absence. So you got a grid of what you want and a grid of the absence and a grid of what you want and the grid of the absence. And what you're living is always a reflection of the dominant grid you've got going on relative to anything. So our response to you is just do it more and feel better when you do it, and do it more and feel better when you do it, and do it more and feel better when you do it, and stop talking about what's not working.
Is it possible to overdo it at all? Like if visualizing, try...
It's not possible to overdo it unless it starts to feel not good when you're doing it. In other words, if you really don't believe it and you're badgering yourself with trying to cover up how you really feel with words. Are you getting the point of this? This whole exercise, this whole process of the grid is to affect the way you feel. And you can tell if it's working. You can feel when we're playing the game with someone in the chair. You could feel what wasn't working with him, couldn't you? And then didn't you feel it when it shifted? And don't you have enough time that you can just feel around on different subjects until you get it? You just have to care enough about shifting a little energy within yourself that you're willing to stick with it until the energy shifts. And friends, this is not a difficult thing. You shift a little energy with an exercise that might take you as much as 5 or 10 minutes, and the grid will start filling in to give you evidence of the success that you've had. In other words, you can get momentum going relatively easily. It's just a matter of caring about how you feel and believing that you are your own point of attraction. Do you believe that?
Yes.
Do you believe that things happen to people randomly?
Not anymore.
Do you believe that they are all offering a vibration and things are responding to that vibration?
Yes.
And do you believe that they have more control over the vibration they're offering than most are exercising? And do you believe that you have more control than you are deliberately exercising?
Yes.
And did you witness a shift in the way you felt just now as we were visiting?
Yes.
Do you think that you need Abraham to do that? Or do you think you could focus on a BMW and find that feeling yourself?
I can focus.
And do you think you have the ability to do it again?
Yes.
And do you think that when another and another, what's your favorite color of those?
Blue.
So when they show up as you're leaving today, when that one's there and that one's there and that one's there and that one's there and that one's there, it's in the parking lot, it's on the road with you. We want you to show yourself your power of attraction. But you can't show yourself your power of attraction if you don't deliberately conjure your point of attraction. If you don't deliberately conjure it, then when it shows up, you don't recognize that you've done it. You don't make the correlation between what you offered vibrationally and what came back to you in universal law of attraction, always equitable, fair, and accurate response. Every single time, you see.
All right.